some sort of working definition. We're trying to define trauma. What makes trauma special from other injuries, damages?
It's on the extreme.
Shattered assumptions theory. Oh, this might be interesting. This person theorized that people generally hold 3 fundamental assumptions. What are the 3? The world is benevolent, the world is meaningful, and I am worthy. The world is benevolent, the world is meaningful, and I am worthy. How naive. Does anyone still have these 3 beliefs?
No.
So you have some events that shatter this just world theory, that if you're worthy and good, the world will be meaningful and benevolent to you. If that shatters, then you have trauma. And then if you repair the worldview, you can recover from trauma. The essential object, which isn't an object any longer, but this something faced with which all words cease and categories fail. Something that you face where you lose language and categories. That's not bad. Something that you face where you lose language and categories. That's not bad. So from a practical standpoint, if you have a trauma, it's something that makes your world smaller in the future. Something that sort of shrinks your world. So
brain traps.
Your future turns into these puzzles that are trapping, shame binds. So that reminded me of the recent revisit to Ania Khan and Nahama. What was it? Vice grip.
I have to be that person. Vice grip. I have to be that person. Vice grip. I have to be that person. Vice grip. I have to be that person.
So you could have an endless puzzle that's a vice grip for your attention. I have to be that person. So if this is how we're defining it, so how would we practically try to address this? How would we knock it down or address these issues? Where to start? So the problem isn't the behavior, because that's a pattern. The problem is there's no map for the future, and there's no agency on how to get out of this puzzle. Trying to take away the narrative side of trauma. Let's just look at the brass tacks of the mechanics.
Yeah, it's also this corrective experience, like proving that what I was feeling was not true.
So you gotta see through the lie or the dream or the fragment. Or something.
Yeah, through the illusion.
See through the illusion. How do we see through an illusion when the energy is stuck and your attention just keeps going back, 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 back in your nightmares too?
Gotta extend some trust? I don't know.
Let's throw in an Inception. I don't know if it's going to link. Might have to do a part 2 to make it make sense. But Inception is a dream and a dream and a dream. And this is the first training. And this sort of feels like a mushroom trip, so maybe we'll include some mushroom metaphors. Or psychedelic metaphors.
we're asleep, our mind can do almost anything.
Such as?
Well, imagine you're designing a building, right? You consciously create each aspect. But sometimes it feels like it's almost creating itself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I'm discovering it.
Genuine inspiration, right? Now, in a dream, our mind continuously does this. We create and perceive our world simultaneously, and our mind does this so well that we don't even know what's happening. That allows us to get right in the middle of that process.
How?
By taking over the creating part. Now, this is where I need you. You create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their subconscious.
How could I ever...
So we create... What was it? They fill it up with their subconscious. Maybe this is how gaslighting works. Maybe this is how fragmented arguments work. You take away the pronouns and you throw an accusation, and if it lands, the person's subconscious fills in the gaps of why you're not worthy and why you need to chase and all that stuff.
Subject into that dream, and they fill it with their subconscious.
How?
By taking over the creating part. Now, this is where I need you. You create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their subconscious.
So the voice is hypnotic, but also this might be the process. You get the right tone to sort of narrate a gaslight, hypnotic, shame-filled, because shame is part of trauma, but we'll try not to use too much shame because that's book group. Trying to have some contrast. And then the shame-binding glue is filled by the person's childhood trauma, by these patterns of of having no future. So you're creating an endless puzzle that's both sugary to attract the person's subconscious, and then it has the danger of maybe trying to fix the map, fix this shattered map area, and free yourself from the stuck energy. I think in the movie, Dom, his goal was to revisit his children. That was the carrot. So the subconscious fills in the gap, but somebody else, the gaslighter, the narcissist, the parent, paints enough of a picture of fragments, thought disorders, to plant a viral seed in you, in the target, of toxic shame. That's probably a decent pointer. And then the toxic shame hits your subconscious, and your subconscious fills in the gap, which is one theory of how mushrooms work. So they create symbols to get you to deal with your unconscious patterns, and you get to have a new relationship in that. But then you can just get lost with the wow of the mushroom trip and don't integrate the stuff. So you draw, what the magic thing is, you draw this circle and you draw a line, and by drawing that line you can access magic. And you need Leo's voice.
By taking over the creating part. Now, this is where I need you. You create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their subconscious.
How could I ever acquire enough detail to make them think that it's reality?
That's
logical.
dreams,
They feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange. Let me ask you a question. You never really remember the beginning of a dream, do you? You always wind up right in the middle of what's going on.
I guess, yeah.
So how did we end up here?
Well, we just came from the,
Think about it, Ariadne. How did you get here? Where are you right now?
We're dreaming?
You're actually in the middle of the workshop right now, sleeping. This is your first lesson in shared dreaming. Stay calm.
She's not calm. So this shifting of frame that he's describing is one of my experiences of mushroom trips, is that I had to work overtime to track each frame. Every frame and experience felt totally new. I knew my leg was there because I still had the implicit memory, but when I looked at it, that experience of looking at it suddenly seemed like a new frame. And then I turned somewhere else and it was suddenly a new frame. It was all fragmented. So if somebody has fragmented thinking, a narcissistic defense or splitting projection defense, and they're incontagioning you with their fragmented thinking, they're pulling you into that dream, and you just dive straight in. Which is partially why this meeting sometimes just dives straight into the meeting, or if I want to edit this, I just start somewhere in the middle and go with that, and you have to catch up, because that's how memories work. That's how trauma works. You have to build this muscle of jumping in and not drowning. So if memories are like a dream,
I have to be that person.
That's shame. These memory fragments, and they're endless puzzles, and you're reliving the past, or the dream gets projected into shared reality, and then you can't tell the difference between the dream and shared reality. What's the key in the movie? The key in the movie was a totem, and this will be the spoiler. So if anybody doesn't want a spoiler, turn off your speakers for 4 minutes. But this is a theory of a missing piece of the movie.
In Inception, characters use totems to determine whether or not they're dreaming. Here's Arthur to explain.
A totem.
So they use totems to differentiate between dream and real. So maybe this could work in trauma healing.
Here's Arthur to explain.
A totem. You need a small object, potentially heavy, something you can have on you all the time that no one else knows.
Like a coin?
No, it needs to be more unique than that. Like...
Oh, no, dude.
No sound. Everybody? Ta. Here, now. Oh, it's still sharing, so maybe there's a little hiccup. Okay, he hears it now.
Something you can have on you all the time that no one else knows.
Like a coin?
No, it needs to be more unique than that. Like, this is a loaded die. I can't let you touch it. That would defeat the purpose. See, only I know the balance and the weight of this particular loaded die. That way, when you look at your totem, you know beyond a doubt that you're not in someone else's dream.
So the totem allows you to recognize if you're in somebody else's dream. So would it be useful for you, if you're in a relationship with love bombing, and you're being blasted by projection splitting, to know that you're not in their dream? To sort of see beyond the transference.
Transference neurosis, the most important person in the patient's life. Transference neurosis, the most important person.
In a sense, a lot of these memes are like totems. They're trying to get you to not fall into people's stories.
What was the response? I just related to her. How is she responding to that? Well, our task is not to repeat what she said. Our task is to analyze what she said. Relax. It's not your fault. It's just what he does. It's what he does with everyone. It's nothing personal. Relax. It's not your fault. It's just what he does. It's what he does with everyone.
So these are mental memes to try to help keep you awake when you're under oceanic merging.
Oceanic union.
An invitation to dance.
Oceanic union.
An invitation to dance.
Oceanic union.
But the tendency, if you lose your totem or you fall into the dream or somebody else's dream, you could fall into somebody else's narrative. And then now they're flooding a narrative for your unconscious by shaming you. And by shaming you, they're using this magic technique of soul rupture. This is a bit triggering, so here's your warning, trigger warning. Where is it? Here.
Shame is self-rupture, when the expected is ruptured and something unexpected comes. Shame is self-rupture, when the expected is ruptured and something unexpected comes. Shame is self.
And then this is a method to open the door.
Raging and righteous and powerful and criticizing, you have to carry the shame. Raging and righteous and powerful and criticizing, you have to carry the shame.
You act
Raging
out
and
my dream.
righteous and powerful and criticizing, you have to carry the shame. You have to carry the shame.
You
have
win.
to carry the shame.
You get a
You
car.
have to carry the shame.
You get the
You have
shame.
to carry the shame. You
You're
have
a
to
winner
carry the shame. You
of
have
the
to
dream
carry the
lottery.
shame. You have to carry the shame.
So having a totem could be like other people in shared reality. They can help remind you of you, co-historians.
What you need in a friend is a co-historian, co-historian, co-historian. What you need in a friend is a co-historian, co-historian, co-historian. What?
Because maybe the issue is not which dream is true or better or behavior, all these whatever games. It's about your totem. And maybe Dominic lost touch with his totem. What is a co-historian? Someone want to help Len catch up? Someone have a good short definition?
Someone who I witnessed a situation or situations with you that can recollect it from a third person standpoint. How's that for a winner?
Not bad. Oh, there's a missing fourth of the drama triangle, and the fourth is the non-responsive bystander. And sometimes say that non-responsive bystander is just as harmful as the abuser, if not more. The enabling spouse or the enabling non-witness. So the co-historian is addressing the non-responsive bystander. Because sometimes you need a totem. Sometimes you need something to differentiate between you and the dream. You and the flashback. You and your unconscious. You and your voices. Ooh, I think Kelly's sister, she hid her story, right? Of her sickness, and now that's still a mystery.
Yes, it's still a mystery, yes.
The brother-in-law can't shed any light on it, huh?
She can't shed any light, and then the sister left at 16, so maybe there was some secret, or someone, maybe there is a non-responsive bystander that disappointed her. Done with the mom status quo. That was my guess where Ellie was going. Back to the totem. Because this totem is going to have a reveal for the people who watch the movie. Who probably might have had this idea.
Your totem, you know beyond a doubt that you're not in someone else's dream.
Throughout the film, Cobb uses a spinning top as his totem, but pay attention to this scene.
I was working on my totem, actually.
Here, take a look. So you're learning, huh?
An elegant solution for keeping track of reality. Was it your idea?
No, it was Maul's, actually. This one was hers. She'd spin it in the dream and would never talk. Just spin and spin.
The spinning top used to belong to Maul, Cobb's deceased wife. That changes everything. The whole point of a totem is that it only works if you're the only one who's used it. So if Cobb is using Maul's totem, it becomes unreliable, especially when you consider the other clues. Before the event.
So Maul, his wife, gave the idea of a totem, but he's using somebody else's totem. Maul.
Clues. Before the events in the film, it's explained that Cobb and Maul were both trapped down in limbo together. After about 50 or so years, Cobb can no longer go on living in limbo, knowing that it's not real. So he plants the idea that their world isn't real in Maul's mind. The very first example of Inception. The idea takes hold, and Maul and Cobb kill themselves to wake up.
So this is a bit complicated without seeing the movie. So Maul and Dom were in this dream state for 50 years, or it felt like 50 years. Probably it felt like 50 years.
Trapped down in limbo together. After about 50 or so years, Cobb...
So they were trapped in limbo together for 50 years. This is the story. And then Maul is seen as trapped in the dream, so the first Inception happens, where Dom plants this life isn't real, maybe this is a dream, and then hides a totem in some safe in a dream state.
Cobb can no longer go on living in limbo, knowing that it's not real. So he plants the idea that their world isn't real in Maul's mind. The very first example of Inception. The idea takes hold, and Maul and Cobb kill themselves to wake up. But even after they awaken, Maul can't fight the feeling that they're still dreaming. Cobb assumes that the Inception just worked too well, and that the idea followed Maul into the waking world. But what if Maul was right? What if they were still dreaming? Cobb explains,
this is the twist. What if Maul was right? If you saw the movie, it makes sense. If you didn't, you probably don't see much.
To Ariadne that Maul came up with the idea to use totems, and that the spinning top belonged to her. So what if Maul came up with the idea to use the spinning top right before she and Cobb were trapped down in limbo? We never see Cobb with a totem of his own, and Maul locks her totem away, because she doesn't care if this world isn't real, as long as she and Cobb are together. So when Cobb and Maul kill themselves...
So Maul locks it away, and all she cares about is being together forever. Does that sound like love bombing and trauma bonding? Narcissistic, infinite, whatever, forever bonding, enmeshment, oceanic merging, invitation to dance.
Oceanic union. There is no clear sense of where I am and where you are. Oceanic union. There is no clear sense of where I am and where you are.
It's just this dream that's better than reality. So she locks away the totem, and then she dies and wakes up from a dream, but thinks she's still in a dream.
They never actually wake up. They're still in a dream. They've just gone up one level. But because Cobb has no way to test his reality, Maul's attempts to convince him that they're still dreaming don't work. Maul then comes up with a plan to force Cobb's hand. Maul kills herself again, actually waking up. But Cobb is still stuck in the dream, believing Maul's dead. Cobb is then forced to run to evade capture. For the rest of the film, Cobb is still dreaming. Even Cobb's father-in-law tries to wake him up.
Come back to reality, Dom.
But Cobb never does.
So the ending scene is a different scene. Let's go there first. But my system's lagging, so do it cautiously. His teaser was to get to revisit his children, and then he finally gets it at the end. I think he visits his children and the children aren't older, and he didn't notice. But there's some other clues, maybe. Wife scene, 8 of 10, 10 of 10. I'll have to do some work.
The reason I knew Inception was possible was because I did it to her first. I did it to my own wife.
Why?
We were lost in here. I knew we needed to escape, but
oh, this is his version. The first Inception.
She had locked
without
something away.
Any commentary.
Something deep inside. A truth that she had once known but chose to forget.
Right there, the truth she had once known but chose to forget.
She had once known but chose to forget.
So when you got divorced as a child, and you fell into self-deception or self-betrayal, or taking on somebody else's burden, parentification, spousification, you've disconnected with your truth. You've put it into a safe. Now you don't know who you are. You can't tell between dream and reality. You have no future. You've given up your totem, or you've locked it away temporarily, and then as your memories are coming back, there's your opportunity to get your totem back.
A truth that she had once known but chose to forget. She couldn't break free. So I decided to search for it. I went deep into the recess of her mind and found that secret place. And I broke in, and I planted an idea. A simple little idea that would change everything.
He planted an idea instead of just giving her the totem back or something.
That her world wasn't real.
Her world wasn't real.
The death was the only escape.
You're waiting for a train. A train that'll take you far away.
Isn't this romantic?
You know where you hope this train will take you.
Paired suicide that breaks you out of a dream.
You can't know for sure. Yet it doesn't matter. Now tell me why.
Because you're together.
We'll be together forever.
But I never knew that idea would grow in her mind like a cancer, that even after she woke, that even after you came back to reality, that you continue to believe your world wasn't real.
So the idea becomes a cancer. The idea starts small and maybe becomes an endless puzzle. It just takes one fragment to start the shame, and then just... and then you follow that rabbit hole.
That death was the only escape.
Oh, no! Jesus! You're infecting my mind.
I was trying to save you.
You betrayed me. But you can make amends. You can still keep your promise. We can still be together. Right here. In the world we built together.
So that's the movie's version. So Dominic thinks that the wife is in the dream. And then this is the ending scene. Number 9 or 10. There. Okay, ending scene. He's up. Inception successful, I think. I mean, gets his passport back.
Welcome home, Mr. Cobb.
Thank you, sir.
Is he gonna get home? What is home like? Oh, is that Dulles Airport? Or just any airport? Oh, close. The signs look like Dulles. Oh wait, those signs maybe not. Everything's working out so perfectly. Is it a dream? Is it not a dream? The music is there. So if you hear music like this, maybe it's shared fantasy. Look at the totem.
Look who's here.
Look at the young kids.
Hey guys! Hey!
Look at the clue. And the ending, I think, or does it half go off? You don't get to see. So the movie was a dream with a dream and a dream. I think was it 3 dreams they had to go down to plant the idea, the character? So we're going to try to go meta a bit more and add a different meaning. I guess this is another attempt at me to break the fourth wall. And it's being helped by Christopher Nolan's attempt to break the fourth wall. And maybe this movie is an attempt to break the fourth wall. And maybe cinema and TV is essentially America's export and production of making dreams. We're good at creating stories, and a lot of these films are like mushroom trips. You fall into a story, and the camera angles feel just like a trip. That was pretty fascinating. So here are more spoilers, even though these aren't spoilers. This is backstory of Christopher Nolan's writing and laying out of the movie. There's probably even more of these things. I didn't get that much time to research. This is Inception's hidden meaning. The film is the dream.
Inception isn't just about dreams. It is the dream. The film is an allegory for filmmaking. We, the audience, sitting in a darkened theater, receive Christopher Nolan's vision. We're the real targets. Nolan is incepting his ideas into our minds.
The seed that we plant in this man's mind will grow into an idea. This idea will define him.
In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Christopher Nolan explained that the Inception characters correspond to a film crew. Dom Cobb is the director. Arthur, who organizes everything, is the producer. Ariadne, who architects the dream setting, is the production designer. Eames, who imitates others, is the actor. Sato, who funds the project, is the studio executive. Yusuf, who makes the technology work, is the special effects studio. And Fisher, who's the target of the Inception, is us, the audience.
The audience.
Amid the layers and hidden meanings, Nolan spells out the film's larger messages. The first letters of the main characters' names form an anagram. Dom, Robert, Eames, Arthur, Mal, and Sato spell the word dreams. If you include Peter, Ariadne, and Yusuf, it spells out dreams pay. In Inception's world, dreams are a form of currency, and access to another person's dreamscape has explicit monetary value. The characters make money by entering and manipulating dreams. The same can be said for filmmakers. Even the characters' individual names have symbolic meaning relating to their roles in the filmmaking process.
Symbols,
the
that's
name
how the
Dom
unconscious
can be
works.
traced back to Latin Dominicus, meaning of the Lord, which speaks to Dom's godlike role as director or master of the creation. It also draws on the Latin word domus, meaning home. In the movie,
Domus,
Dom
home.
wants to go home to his children, who represent his creations or works of art. Sato, the studio head, understands that for Cobb to accept the job, he must tempt the auteur with the promise of more than monetary payment.
Deeper meaning.
How would you like to go home?
The promise for Dom to reach his kids is a metaphor for creative autonomy. Yusuf correlates to the biblical name Joseph, a character who is able to interpret dreams. Mal, in its Irish origin, means messenger of God, and in Romance languages means bad or evil. The divergent meanings are fitting, since we don't know if Mal is an evil spirit or a messenger of truth.
It's either an evil spirit or a messenger of truth. Is this an amoral trickster to try to help Dom see through the truth, to see through the trick?
Or both. Either way, Mal is the muse that inspires Dom to build up or destroy the illusionary world they've conceived. Ariadne was the mythological Greek princess who gives Theseus the thread to escape the Minotaur's labyrinth. She's the architect who provides the tools that get us through the maze. In our world, Nolan suggests that exploring our own dreams could also pay by revealing to us deeper truths about our lives. The anagram tells us there's value.
Right there. This is the pitch, the link to getting out of the endless puzzle is, and the fragments is exploring our dreams, our memories, our core shadows, trying to listen to what the trickster is trying to reveal. That will reveal deeper truths. And the deeper truths are in depth. So
downwards is the only way forwards. Downwards is the only way forwards. Downwards is the only way forwards.
So depth psychology, going down to the depths where you hid your key, your totem, where your true self is stuck in a crack in the back of the cave.
Haha, the joke is on you because you didn't eat me. You ate the decoy. I am safe back here. Haha. The joke. I am safe back here. I am safe back here. I am safe back. Authentic self. Shrunken, invisible, hidden. 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 Authentic.
Downwards is the only way forwards. Downwards is the only way forwards. Downwards is the only way forwards.
So if there's no future, if you're having a puzzle that trickster or trauma or whatever has dumped into your system, and you're reliving the past, so the past is your future. Trying to get out of the past, trying to escape your flashbacks, trying to control whatever the fragment. Maybe it's just you go into the depths. But you're searching for your soul, you're searching for your true self, you're searching for your totem. So the more you have shared reality, co-historians, a team, not just you, that helps you navigate through the path. So,
In our world, Nolan suggests that exploring our own dreams could also pay by revealing to us deeper truths about our lives. The anagram tells us there's value in looking inward and unpacking the hidden messages in our dreams or in the films we watch, which are essentially dreams playing on a silver screen. Rather than being passive recipients of the ideas projected onto us, we should take an active role in understanding what we see before us.
instead of being passive and just taking in what we're consuming, we have to be active. We have to look for the messages.
The message is there, has the answer, has the medicine. There's a message, the message is there, has the answer, has the medicine. There's a message, the message is there, has the answer.
Or we have to have some practice to explore our unconscious, to explore shadow material, or have other people to point out our blind spots. There's many ways to get more information. Oh, that's it. So this meeting is just a pitch to get you to buy some Inception rentals. I'm gonna probably get a kickback or something. Not. But if there's deeper meaning, Inception about dreams, and dreams is a good metaphor for amnesia. A lot of narcissistic abuse and love bombing is shared fantasy. So the shared fantasy might be waking up from that dream. Let's change directions to fantasy relationships is adult splitting. Sam Vaknin. Is this gonna match the metaphor or not? I have no idea. We're just randomly gonna put videos on, because I didn't get a chance to watch everything.
Relationships based on fantasy, the alternative is relationships based on reality. In a relationship based on fantasy, you never interact with your partner, actually. You interact with an image of your partner, which you idealize or devalue in the case of the paranoid, but you always interact with an introject. We always interact with an internal object, not with the real partner. Fantasy is the adult version of splitting. Because in splitting, which is a primitive defense mechanism, we split. We say, I'm all good, she is all bad. Or she is all good, I'm all bad. When you're an adult, you're able to integrate this. If you're healthy, you're able to integrate and to say, she has some good aspects, she has some bad aspects. If you're a narcissist and so on, you're stuck. You're unable to integrate. And then, but you also don't split, because if you split, you will say that you are all bad. And you don't want to do this. So instead, you create a fantasy where she is all good and you are all good. You still split because you make her all good, but you use her goodness, you use it to make yourself good. You say, if she is brilliant, if she is beautiful, if she's perfect, and I own her because she's in my head, she's internal object, it makes me beautiful and perfect and so on. It's like if I'm driving a Ferrari, that reflects on me because it's like a status symbol. You know, so this process is called co-idealization. In a fantasy, you never ever interact with a partner. Either you interact with an introject of a partner, or you use the introject to do something to yourself, like to idealize yourself. It's no connection to reality. Reality is integrated. In reality, you see nuance, you see subtleties, your expectations are commensurate with what the partner can offer. In fantasy, the expectations are infinite. So you set up the partner for failure. But the minute you develop these unrealistic expectations of yourself and others, fantastic expectations, you're setting your partner up for failure. You're preparing the stage for devaluation, because she fails.
Fantasy. And then when they fail, then you have the toxic shame to try to get them in line. I wonder how. I think this is from the same talk.
Intimate relationships. You stop feeling comfortable. Intimacy. That's when your healing starts. Stop feeling comfortable. When you transition from ego syntony to ego dystony. That's when the healing starts. Intimate relationships. That's when the healing starts. Therapy is possibly the most intimate relationship possible. Even more.
So intimacy and anxiety, maybe that's part of the totem. In ISTDP, anxiety is the doorway to your feelings. So there needs to get capacity for holding anxiety and isolation of affect, and then pressure to feeling to get to the eventual reenactment. And the reenactment is finishing the past story or the impulse. So finishing the reenactment in ISTDP could be finishing the dream. And the doorway is anxiety. And if we're around a bunch of people that just soothe anxiety, and isn't building anxiety tolerance, then you don't have your totem. Intimacy and anxiety might be the doorway to healing.
Than your spouse or your boyfriend. All these dynamics apply to all intimate relationships, including therapy. From ego syntony to ego dystony. That's when the healing starts. There are two drives. One of them is the need to be seen. And one of them, bad object. The two forces are mutually exclusive. If you want to be seen, you need to be a good object, a worthy object, an interesting object. And then, of course, you cannot be a bad object. If you are a bad object, you are unworthy. You're unworthy. You're a loser. You're a failure. You are doomed and destined to solitude, to defeat, and so on. So a bad object can never be seen and does not deserve to be seen. Does not deserve to be seen. Only a good object has the right to be seen. So these forces compete. Two drives compete. And they create something known as dissonance. Constant conflict between these two forces, dissonance. People with these two competing voices are in a constant state of ego dystony. Compete. They are not comfortable in their own skin.
Ego dissonance. Competing. Maybe holding the conflict more consciously.
Dissonance. They don't like themselves. Compete. They reject themselves. They loathe themselves. This is known as ego dystony. The competition between these two forces creates ego dystony. This is the ego dystony. This is this symbol, the thunder, ego dystony. Creates ego dystony and dissonance. Compete. It's extremely unpleasant. Compete. Ego dystony, dissonance. Compete. It's extremely unpleasant. Compete. Dissonance. How to solve this? You solve it by resorting to a defense known as fantasy. Create an imaginary space where you can play and replay psychological dynamics in order to satisfy needs or to avoid harm. It's an imaginary space where you can play and replay psychological dynamics in order to gratify needs or to avoid harm. At some point, you stop feeling comfortable. That's when your healing starts. When you transition from ego syntony to ego dystony. That's when the healing starts. You're beginning to develop a dissonance. Usually it's a cognitive dissonance. I want to be with him, but I cannot be with him. I want to be, but I cannot be. So this creates a dissonance. You begin to feel uncomfortable. Transition from ego syntony to ego dystony. That's when the healing starts.
So the fantasy space is could be a triangle. So now you use your imagination to play out scenarios, to weigh both sides of good and bad, positive and negative. Dystony. The shortcut is egosyntony, and that's splitting. You're right and everybody else is wrong, or you're totally all bad and everybody else is all powerful. Getting to that egosyntony, or dystony, the dissonance, and getting to the split of the memory. That would be jumping to Jordan Peterson. What's the purpose of memories? Or is it? Yeah.
There's two things about that I think are really worth laying out. The first is an analysis of the purpose of memory. Because people think that the purpose of memory is to remember the past.
So the purpose of memory, so this is just a generic definition of memory, but if traumas are memory fragments that are stuck and continue, have a life of its own, have a puzzling nature, then it would still fall into the purpose of memory.
And that's not the purpose of memory. The purpose of memory is to extract out from the past lessons to structure the future. And that's the purpose of personal memory. And so you're done with a memory when you've extracted out the information that you can use to guide yourself properly in the future. So if you have a traumatic memory, for example.
So the purpose of memory is to extract out. This is a link I used to have on the meetup from 2019. Memory has 4 components: time, thought, body, and emotion. And then the time signature usually is a major issue that people have with traumatic memories. But we're not going to cover this. Haha. How to get past traumatic memories. Oh. This is a more practical thing, but this is also boring. So we aren't going to cover that. The purpose of memory is to extract out from the past lessons to structure the future. There. So then when you extract it out, then the memory's done, and bam! It's long-term memory. But with traumatic memories, what's he going to say?
A traumatic memory, for example, that's really obsessing you. If you analyze that memory to the point where you figured out how you put yourself at risk and you can determine how you might avoid that in the future, then the emotion associated with that goes away. So memory has a very pragmatic function. And cultural memory is the same thing.
So with traumatic memory, if you analyze that memory to the point where you figured out how you put yourself at risk and how you can do better the next time, it's integrated and the memory goes away. There's your solution. We can offer a few more tips on Act 3. Maybe. We'll see.
Is that we need to extract out stories from our past that structure our future. And we need that because, well, first of all, if you don't have a purpose, let's say, it isn't that your life becomes neutral in a meaningless sense. It's that your life becomes characterized by unbearable suffering, because the baseline condition of life is something like unbearable suffering. And what you have to set against that is a noble and worthwhile purpose. And hopefully your determination of that purpose is buttressed to some degree by the wisdom of the past, because you can't conjure something like that up on your own. And if you provide people with nobility of purpose, then they can tolerate the suffering of existence without becoming entirely corrupted by it.
So society and culture needs to provide, or you need to find a way to get this in shared society, of some sort of noble purpose, aim, some sort of belonging. And that mitigates the suffering and blindness of existential existence. And maybe that's why some traumatic memories are so enticing. If there's a sugary, endless puzzle and there's this fantasy of infinite love and narcissistic grandiosity, that's way more exciting than blah existence. So you gotta paint some sort of noble aim to make your existence worth waking up to. Societies used to map it out. That's his argument.
And cultures that don't do that, it isn't even so much that they die, it's that cultures that don't do that are dead. They're
Dead.
done. They don't have a
Done.
story anymore. And they don't have a call to adventure. And then, well, then everyone suffers stupidly as a consequence. It's a very bad thing. So Churchill made the same observation that many of the great psychologists and philosophers made in the early part of the 20th century. It's like, bring the story forward and propagate it and make it the most noble possible story. And then you motivate people to transcend themselves, which they need to do. So yes, he's exactly right in his diagnosis.
Not as cinematic as Inception. Oh. So triggers in memory and defenses. Let's see. This is an early pointer, but I think this is worth revisiting.
All defenses are memories. All defenses are memories. I'm just letting you register that, right? All defenses are memories. If a patient detaches from you, the patient oftentimes is showing you how someone detached from them. If a patient attacks herself, she's oftentimes showing you how she was attacked. Or she's showing you how she learned to attack herself in order to maintain a connection. If a patient projection splits, oftentimes the patient is showing you how she grew up in a home where there was splitting and projection. So keep in mind, the defense is always a memory of adaptation. Every defense is a way of relating to you, and every defense in a way is an enactment of a kind of relationship with you. The defense is always a memory of adaptation.
So this is the challenge when you stigmatize defenses or try to call out the defense or beat up the defense. If the defense is a memory, is an adaptation, and it holds a memory, you're dismissing the memory. You're avoiding, you're devoicing the memory. And you're also not honoring the adaptation that the defense is part of a survival instinct. But if society is gaslighting that defenses are bad and it's using these shaming techniques, you've been bought into the group shaming to create a fake adult self because society isn't initiating people. There's no role models of real initiations. You have a bunch of performative adults, fake adults that are teaching you how to kill your soul and blend in. They're called therapists and academics and politicians. People that have manipulated their defenses and have a persona.
An enactment of a kind of relationship with you. The defense is always a memory of adaptation. So that's why, for instance, in isolation of affect, if the patient takes a detached stance, we'll say, notice how you put up this wall of detachment. And then we would have the same distant relationship here that you have with your wife and that you had with your father. So can we see what feelings are coming up here toward me? You're beginning to address the way the patient is enacting a past relationship with you. The patient learned I should attack myself, and then my mother will calm down. So instead, when the patient goes self-attack, we'll say, oh, could that thought be hurting you? Could that thought be unfair to you? Could we see what feelings are coming up here toward me if we look underneath those thoughts? Inviting feelings is actually inviting a new relationship. It's blocking an old enactment.
New relationships are scary. New relationships are hard to trust. So that's where a gentle invitation to invite a new relationship and to prove yourself. That is tricky.
And that enactment through using defenses is going to cause patients symptoms. If you ignore your anxiety, then that would prevent us from being able to regulate. Well, yeah, but I don't want to look at it. Right. Well, if you don't look at your anxiety and I don't look at your anxiety, then what kind of relationship would we have if we both ignore you? She's inviting you to do that. She's inviting an enactment. That's where we have to keep our attention. So given that you're inviting me to hurt you, can we see what feelings are coming up here toward me? These defenses are always enacting past relationship. And so we're having to think about how do we bring that to patients' attention and how do we make sure that our interventions are offering a new relationship rather than repeating the old relationship.
This is tricky. Maybe this is why we have to integrate the trickster energy to figure out how to offer a new relationship versus the other side, which is trying to continue repetition compulsion. Oh, misspelling. I thought it was wrong. Yeah. But then one fit. So, repetition compulsion or new relationship. And then the repetition compulsion is going to be a trickster to induce projective identification, transference, countertransference. That's the old relationship. Offering a new relationship is tricky. It's tough. It can be, it's really hard to not fall into the person's dream. That's why we need a totem. We need some anchor with our reality, our soul, our voice.
All defenses are memories. The defense is always a memory of adaptation. Every defense is a way of relating to you, and every defense in a way is an enactment of a kind of relationship with you, offering a new relationship rather than repeating the old relationship.
What are we at? 8:50. What did we cover? This is our working definition of trauma. There's a memory aspect to it. It's linked to toxic shame, but toxic shame is kind of scary, so we're trying to avoid using too much shame pointers. And integrating the pain, and then feeling a totem, our voice, dissonance, pain and hurt, that might be the thread of getting back to reality. That might be the thread of getting connected to our soul, connecting to our passion. Maybe the endless puzzles are good. Maybe I haven't made an argument that traumatic memories have upside. Fragmentation might be powerful. Hiding from others and playing hide and seek, that might be a way to control connection. There might be payoffs to pretend. Sometimes we're judging, we're making an assumption that growth is good. Maybe people haven't agreed to that. Maybe they had some injunction growing up where growth was an avenue to death or something. They haven't been sold on growing and healing.
I think if you have potent defenses, it can be difficult to let go of those and integrate, because you have to set them aside. So it's a tough sell.
Why do you have to set them aside? If a defense is an adaptation, and the memory is stored in it, if the memory gets integrated...
Well, in the interim, you'd have to set it aside.
Like what kind of defense?
I guess like hypermoralizing defenses.
Well, could the hypermoralizing be offered a new relationship?
Yeah, I guess it could.
Because if you're trying to put the hypermoralizing aside, there is an easy tendency to moralize the hypermoralizing.
Yeah.
And then the hypermoralizing will just use the moralizing energy to keep going. To keep repeating. Even though it's misspelled. My hypermoralizing. So maybe the part of the cell is trying to build curiosity to wake up. Because waking up might mean waking up to the truth, and initially waking up to the truth is shocking, painful, agonizing. Sometimes a dream is better. That would be like ignorance is bliss.
I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand?
Forgetting is adaptive, or wonderful, or has positive qualities. Let's dive into Memento. The two sides of forgetting, when it works too well. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen Memento and you want to see it without spoilers. Come back in 10 minutes.
You lie to yourself to be happy. There's nothing wrong with that. We all do it. Who cares if there's a few little details you'd rather not remember?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Your wife surviving the assault. Her not believing your condition. The torment and pain and anguish tearing her up inside. The insulin.
That's Sammy, not me. I told you about Sammy.
Yeah, right. Like you tell yourself over and over again. Conditioning yourself to remember. Learning through repetition.
Sammy let his wife kill herself. Sammy ended up in an institution.
Sammy was
No,
a
it's
con
Sammy.
man, a faker.
Oh, Sammy.
I never said that Sammy was faking.
Exposed him for what he was. A fraud.
But I was wrong. That's the whole point. See, Sammy's wife came to me.
Sammy didn't have a wife. It was your wife who had diabetes.
Ouch.
My wife wasn't diabetic.
You sure?
Ouch. Cut it out.
She wasn't diabetic. You think I don't know my own wife? The fuck is wrong with you?
So, what was the story? The story was that there's a memory test, and then the memory test was the diabetes, so he didn't give the sugar injection. And then the wife had the reaction. Even though in here he's saying the wife got raped too. I'm not even sure. So I guess I need to rewatch all the details of when each thing happened, because the movie was backwards and forwards and stuff. But he projected his wife onto Sammy. Sammy had the wife, and Sammy was the one who had the memory issue.
You think I don't know my own wife? The fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I guess I can only make you remember the things you want to be true. Like old Jimmy down there.
He's not the right guy.
He was to you. Come on, you got your revenge. Enjoy it while you still remember. What difference does it make whether he was your guy or not?
It makes all the difference.
Why? You're never gonna know.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
I will. Somehow, I'll
You
know.
won't remember.
When it's done, I will know. It'll be different.
Well, I thought so too. In fact, I was.
So when it's done, it'll be different. That's a totem. That's when you know it's real. But if you're in a dream and you have no totem, then you don't know when it's done. You want to save the world, you want the world to become utopia, that never gets done. These fantasy defenses are grandiose. They're impossible to finish in a lifetime. They're impossible to do because they're godlike delusions. These moral defenses as a child.
I will know. It'll be different.
Well, I thought so too. In fact, I was sure of it, but you didn't.
Co-historian.
That's right.
What happened?
The real John G. I helped you find him over a year ago. He's already dead.
Don't lie to me anymore.
Look, Lenny, I was the cop assigned to your wife's case. I believed you. I thought you deserved a chance for revenge. I'm the one that helped you find the other guy in your bathroom that night. The guy that cracked your skull and fucked your wife. We found him. You killed him.
Bam.
But you didn't remember.
Accomplished.
So I
Mission
helped you.
accomplished.
Start looking again. Looking for the guy you already killed.
Oh, yeah? So who was he?
Just some guy. I mean, does it even matter who? No reason, Lenny. No conspiracy, just bad fucking luck. A couple of junkies too strung out to realize your wife didn't live alone. But when you killed him, I was so convinced that you'd remember. But it didn't stick. Like nothing ever sticks, like this won't stick.
Revenge doesn't stick. There's even evidence.
I took that picture. Just when you did it. Look how happy you are. I wanted to see that face again.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Fuck you. I gave you a reason to live, and you were more than happy to help. You don't want the truth. You make up your own truth to create a puzzle you could never solve. You're living a dream, kid. A dead wife to pine for. A sense of purpose to your life. A romantic quest that you wouldn't end even if I wasn't in the picture.
I should kill you.
Quit it, Lenny, come on. You're not a killer.
That's why you're so good at it. I'm not a killer. I'm just someone who wanted to make things right.
Righteousness. The path of denial turns to righteousness.
I just let myself forget what you've told me.
You block feedback, and you kill the messenger of any truth. Illustrated in the Discord.
What you've made me do.
Forget the evidence. Protect the dream. Unstable internet. We'll give it a break. Maybe back.
You think I just
Look
want
at
another
this.
puzzle to solve? Another John G to look for? You're John G. So you can be my John G. Do I lie to myself to be happy? In your case, Teddy. Yes, I will.
No apologies about lying to himself. Once you open the doorway to self-deception, then you don't know what's true or false.
I know when I'm lying. I know when I'm lying. There's no proof that I wasn't telling the truth. There's no proof that I wasn't telling the truth.
No,
There's
I'm
no proof that I wasn't telling the truth.
I was totally mistaken. No, I was totally mistaken. I was totally mistaken.
And then you have this righteousness defense.
I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest. I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest. I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest.
I am judged
So
by
what? This makes sense. So what?
I am judged
So
by
what?
I am judged by
So what?
I am judged by
So what?
I am judged the one who's wrong, right? I'm the one who's
You're
wrong,
in the
right?
judge's seat. You're in the judge's seat.
You're in the judge's
Why,
seat, right? I'm the
why
one
is
who's
she
wrong,
so
right?
focused on judgment? Because
I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest. I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest. I can't handle somebody telling me I'm dishonest. I can't handle
righteousness defense. But the price of the fantasy defense is you can't see good and bad anymore. You can be conned by people that play nice. This is illustrated by this really creepy portion from Memento. Amazing portion, right? Somebody shares the truth and then plays Lenny.
What's wrong?
Somebody's come already.
Who?
Calls himself Dodd.
What does he want?
Wants to know what happened to Jimmy and his money. He thinks I have it. He thinks I took it.
Oh, well, did you?
No.
She's going out of her way to pull all the pins and hide them, or put them in her bag. She has a plan.
Thinks I have it. He thinks I took it.
Oh, well, did you?
No.
What's this all about?
You don't have a fucking clue, do you? You're just blissfully ignorant, aren't you?
Look, I have this condition.
Yeah, I know all about your fucking condition, Leonard. Probably know more about it than you do. You don't have a fucking clue about anything else.
What happened?
What happened is that Jimmy went to meet some guy named Teddy. He took a lot of money with him and he never came back. Jimmy's partners think I set him up. I don't know if you know this, Teddy, or how well.
Neither do I.
Don't protect him.
I'm not.
Help me.
How?
Get rid of Dodd for me.
What?
Kill him. I'll pay you.
What do you think I am? I'm not gonna kill someone for money.
What then? Love? What would you kill for? Kill for your wife, wouldn't you?
That's different.
Not to me. I wasn't fucking married to her.
Hey, don't talk about my wife.
I can talk about whoever the fuck I want. I can say whatever I want and you won't remember. I could call your wife a fucking whore and we can still be friends.
Calm down.
Easy for you to say. You can't get scared. You don't know how, you fucking idiot.
Take it easy. This has nothing to do with me.
Well, maybe it does. How the
That's the price of denial defenses. If you are not feeling your fear and you're going to hide behind rage, then you don't have the wisdom of fear. And that's why you might have excess paranoia, and then you just have to attack anybody. Counterphobic rage.
fucking idiot.
Take it easy. This has nothing to do with me.
Well, maybe it does. How the fuck would you know? You don't know a fucking thing.
This has nothing to do with me. How would he know?
Can't get scared, but hey, can you get angry?
Yes.
Oh, you pathetic piece of shit. I can say whatever the fuck I want, and you
Feels
won't
like
have a
he's
fucking
angry
clue, you
and
fucking
protecting
retard.
himself.
You know what? I'm gonna use you. I'm telling you now because I'm gonna enjoy it so much more if I know that you could stop me if you weren't such a fucking freak.
Is this sadism?
Did you lose your pen? Well, that's too bad, freak. Otherwise, you could write yourself a little note about how much Natalie hates your retarded guts and that I called your wife a fucking whore.
Hey, don't say another fucking word.
About your whore of a wife? I read about your condition, Leonard. You know what one of the causes of short-term memory loss is? Venereal disease. Maybe your cunt of a fucking wife sucked one too many diseased cocks and turned you into a fucking retard. You sad freak. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Power.
Remember, we'll still be best friends.
The worst fear for someone with paranoia.
Maybe even lovers. I'll see you soon.
Stay focused. Find a pen. Gotta write this down. Gotta write it down.
Where's my totem? Where's my co-historian?
Keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
How do I know if it's real or a dream?
I gotta find a pen. Gotta write this down. Write this down. Exactly what happened. I gotta write down exactly what happened. Come on, come on, come on. I gotta find a pen. Jeez, come on. Come on, keep focused. Keep focused. What? Keep it in mind. Come on, find a pen. Write this down. I gotta write down what happened. Write it down. Write it down. Come on, concentrate. Keep it in mind. Find a pen.
What happened? What does it look like? He beat the shit out of me.
Who?
Who? Fuck Leonard. Dodd beat the shit out of me.
You lose your discernment if you give up your fear and you stick to your fantasies. You fall for the trap. 9:12. I don't know if there's enough time to cover memory reconsolidation and spiritual paradoxes, but part of memory reconsolidation is juxtaposition. So a shortcut to reconsolidate your memories is to find your core assumption, some core need or the way the world should be. Have that. Or if I do this, I'll die. Or this is totally off limits, and then you need juxtapose that with some present moment reality, which has dissonance, and you hold those two next to each other, and it causes a big headache, and then you update to the new map. And sometimes you don't even need the second part. You just have to refine your core childhood belief that if I say this, I'll die, or the world should be this way, and you just shove it in your face every day, and then you'll force reconsolidation. And that's also through egosyntony to ego dystony, or cognitive dissonance, to hold the split, to force yourself to make conscious your hidden conflict, your hidden judgment on the world, your hidden righteousness, your hidden whatever attachment. So you got to find what the core glue that's holding together the endless puzzle, the fragment, the new future. You got to find that main thing and integrate it, bring it to consciousness, juxtapose it to reconsolidate your memory, and then you get the energy back. Or you can follow the path of fragmentation, and this isn't really the right timing, but since I made the edit, this is from Inside Out 1. This is the power of fragmentation, the land of abstract thought. You can just go rabbit hole and just fragment, but the price of that is two-dimensional flatness.
I read about this place in the manual. We shouldn't go in there.
Bing Bong says it's the quickest way to headquarters.
No, but Joy, this is abstract thought.
What are you talking about? I go...
Be careful when you listen to Bing Bong. These sugary voices that...
in here all the time. It's a shortcut, you see? D-A-N...
that promise shortcuts that have signs of danger, but idiots will say, fuck the danger. The rules don't count for me. I'm schizoid. I'll just change the rule. Or I'll say, fuck the rule. I'm more antisocial. Let's go do something crazy. Like, play with fragmented land.
G-E-R, shortcut. I'll prove it to you.
Let's take mental shortcuts.
Look at me. I'm closer to the station, 'cause I'm taking the shortcut.
The shortcut.
Go around. This way.
Almost there.
If you want to walk...
Sadness read the manual. Sadness knows the danger of this place. If you don't feel your sadness, then you also make yourself ignorant and stupid.
The long way, go for it. But Riley needs to be happy. I'm not missing that train. Bing Bong knows what he's doing.
Joy would
He's
listen
smart,
to
They're very smart.
a schizoid.
I guess.
P-Dub.
What I tell you, you'll be at headquarters in no time.
Oh!
Hey, would you look at that?
Whoa! What's happening?
No, they turned it on.
Never seen this before.
Ah!
My face! My beautiful face! No!
What is going on?
We're abstracting. There are 4 stages. This is the first. Non-objective fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Thought disorder.
Stay together.
We're in the second stage. We're deconstructing.
Deconstruction.
I can't feel my legs.
You can deconstruct anything.
There they are.
Come here, me!
And start making up definitions.
Before we're nothing but shape and color.
Changing rules.
Doug, why do we come in here?
I told you, it's a shortcut.
That's a pin.
The train!
Oh no, we're 2-dimensional. That's stage 3.
Stage 3.
Deb, I'm lacking depth.
2-dimensional. You're objectified.
We can't fit!
Oh no, we're non-figurative. This is the last stage.
Non-figurative.
Wait, we're 2-dimensional.
Someone who's splitting,
On your face.
they can't see you. You're just non-figurative, 2-dimensional things.
Stop! Stop! Oh, no! You said there was a shortcut.
I did, but wow, we should not have gone in there. That was dangerous. They really should put up a sign.
Something like a schizoid would say. Oh, they really should put up a sign that I dismissed or made fun of.
No! You said there was a shortcut.
Dumping agency outward to anybody and
Not have gone
everybody.
in there. That was dangerous. They really should put up a sign.
So let's close with RICHARDGRANNON, since some of it was opened with this. Unless I played this before the stream started. Codependence is a game.
As a codependent, you literally can't do a relationship that across time, you won't create a relationship. You won't co-create a relationship where across time, you don't end up feeling abused.
Oh, this is shaming. But it's shaming for change and growth. But it could be seen as shaming of the dream or shaming of him or a performance to sort of future fake. But it's a good message.
You can't not end up feeling abused because you are a codependent. So your approach to the relationship is neurotic. It's dishonest. It's not down the line. It's not like, okay, this is who I am. And this is what I want. And this is what I'm creating. And if you're not for that, you need to toddle off so that I can speak to somebody else. Because most people live unindividuated, possessed by shadow, weighed down by the burden of culture and tribal expectation, and they can't find their authentic selves. They just can't do it. You don't know yourself. You don't even know you. You won't, because you won't let you be you. You don't have the bravery, you don't have the skill set, you don't have the strength. It's been beaten out of you to show up as you. So you're like, oh, I can't find a partner. Well, who is this I that we reference as codependent? Who's that? Who's that? The narcissist, for all their faults, they have something called a fantasy self, a hyper-idealized fantasy self. So that's their delusion. But they have that. They have an identity. It's false. It's false, but they have that. We have nothing. We have nothing. We're ghosts. We're ghosts. We're just chameleons. What do you want, babe? Whatever you want, babe.
Chameleons is a good skill set.
Whatever you want, babes.
What's wrong
So
with
then you go,
being a
oh, I feel
chameleon?
exploited and used. Well, yeah, because we're wank socks. We're dildos. We don't show up as anything else. And it's not that you're going to find normal people and then insist on them instrumentalizing you and using you. I'm not going that far, but I'm saying that if you did meet somebody who wasn't going to instrumentalize you and use you, you'd just be turned off by them. You'd just be like, I'm not going to get to do my favorite repetition compulsion psychodrama dance here, so I ain't doing it. Like, fuck this guy, fuck this girl, yuck. Like, they give you the ick because they're too normal, or they're too safe, or they're too sane. So you spew off all the sane people, you get with some variation of a nutter, and then you're like, oh no, the wolf is eating my leg. Who would have thought that a wolf, that this is just what they do, would start wolfing. So this is this game of hide and seek that we're playing with ourselves, and it's masturbatory. And the point is to not grow
Peekaboo.
up. The point is to remain eternally a child. Oh, I can't find a partner. I try. It doesn't work out. Diddly-dee, chase me around the back of the tree and back around again. No. We're terrified of being locked in time. And then once you have a partner and you have kids, you're now basically, you're in a countdown timer. That's it. I'm 45 on my next birthday.
Of being locked in time. The endless puzzle gives you access to transcendent time. Time all at once. It also gives you access to the giant void of emptiness. But being locked in time, being locked in a social identity, being locked in social obligations, negotiating a social identity that's not totally in your dominant frame's control, that's terrifying. It's a schizoid adaptations.
I've done this my entire life. It's a game. There's a narrative that we're living to fulfill a pre-existing agenda. So we're playing a game. You're seeking to fulfill a pre-existing narrative, and you're retroactively post hoc creating the situations that fulfill the narrative. So I am the victim of abusive women, incredibly cruel, sadistic women who hate men, and their dads aren't around. Okay. So how about when I get with a girl, I say to her, is your father around? And if she says yes and I like him, I go,
story.
Box 1, ticked. See where I'm going with this? It's not flipping rocket surgery. It's a game. I've done this my entire life. We're terrified of being locked in time. It's a game. And the point is to not grow up. The point is to remain eternally a child. I've done this my entire life. Point is to not grow up. It's a game. To not grow up. It's a game.
And then you can be this age as an adult.
Inside, I'm still about 12 years old. Who's the ultra popular cartoonish characterization of a toxically masculine male who's trending right now?
You, Richard.
Me, RICHARDGRANNON. Pierre said pushing back and positioning, and I giggled because inside, I'm still about 12 years old. Inside, I'm still about 12 years old. These young men were pushing back and positioning.
Yeah.
12 years old.
Jesus Christ.
It was called Spartan Life Coach for a reason. Everybody's like, oh, the Spartan's so cool. I'm like, you don't know your history, do you, darlings? 12 years old. Cartoonish characterization of a toxically masculine male. Inside, I'm still about 12 years old. 12 years old.
And people who watch this still want to believe the performance self, the fawn self, and copy that method for healing. Because the real world is scary. The real world is demanding. And there's a lack of initiations. There's a lack of role models who are showing how to be an adult. And there's a lack of male role models. So let's end a bit harder with a different type of shaming, or maybe a call to the masculine.
How do we heal the broken masculine within you? If you have neglect, if you have abandonment as a child, if you don't have a strong male role model there to protect you and model for you what healthy leadership and healthy masculinity looks like. You are going to have those fragmented soul parts that are going to need to be healed, but you are also going to have an attachment style that feels like you don't have power. And you might be in this dismissive, avoidant, or fearful avoidant state where you don't feel secure. You don't feel like you can show up in full safety in who you are. You have to be a pushover and just take it, because if you don't, you actually address misbehavior, then you're going to have that severance. You're identifying, wait, I'm naturally dominant, but I can't get it out of me. Because I've been told if I let it out, if I let that roar out of me, I'm a horrible man. To be strong in the care for others is a healthy place in my mind. Absolutely. And that's what we're speaking to. That is what masculinity is at its core. To be strong in the care for others is a healthy place.
Strong in the care for others.
Stand up. Stop it with the victimization.
Own your masculine.
Stop it with the excuses. Stop it with the whining. Stop it. It's time to thicken your skin, gentlemen. It's time to thicken your skin. Some of you men need to get out of this victimized bullshit. I'm sorry you didn't have examples as a child. I'm sorry that you didn't have the modeling that you needed. I'm sorry that you got dealt a shit hand. You know what? So did I. Stand up. Take your place. Heal. Learn. Grow. Lead. I have never experienced more of a deficit of strong male leaders and protectors than I have ever seen before, as what I'm seeing in society right now. Step up, men. Now is your time. To be strong in the care for others is a healthy place in my mind. That is what masculinity is at its core.
To be strong in the care for others.
Figure out the why behind the what. Figure out the why behind the what. Figure out the why behind. How is this going to make me a better person in the future? A better person in the future. How is this? What is this teaching me about relationships? What is this teaching me about myself? What is this teaching me about relationships? What is this teaching me about myself?
What is this teaching me?
What is this teaching me about relationships? What is this teaching me about myself? What is the purpose in my current pain? What is the purpose in my current pain? What is the purpose in my current pain? What is the purpose in my current pain?
The message is
what
there.
What is the purpose?
Has the answer.
What
has the medicine? There's a message.
What
the message is there.
In my current
has the answer.
What is the purpose?
Has the medicine.
In my current
There's a message.
What is the purpose?
The message is there.
What is the purpose in my current pain? What is the purpose?
Okay. Let's call it a night.
That's all, folks.
And there's a cheat sheet for our definition of trauma. Shortcut is your pain. Shortcut is finding a totem, code historian. Finding what's real and trying to make an argument of why you should join shared reality instead of shared fantasy.